Hello everyone, Jonathan here from Triple M Games, and I'm going to be showing you my setup for rendering 3D models into 2D alpha maps and normal maps. Let me show you how the 3D scene is set up. We have a camera which is set to orthographic. Then we also have the texture resolution to 2048, 100% resolution. And we have black and white set by default, or you can choose RGB if you want to export normal maps. We have a number of models I've created. We're going to go with floor tiles. So the important thing to know is not to have viewport and your render settings on different channels unless you know what you're doing. Else you're going to end up with one thing is set to viewport and then maybe a few others are set to render. If I jump back to compositing, and if I go to render and render image, you can press F12. You'll notice that we have something that's really messed up. And that is because it is trying to render out these two. And obviously that's just not working at all. So keep that in mind, to always keep the viewport and render the same. So again, F12 will render out the image, or going up to render and image. So we're going to go to image, save as. We're going to go into our texture pack, go into alphas, and this one is floor tiles. This is floor tile 1 height. Make sure that it's on black and white, and save image. Now if we want to save a normal map, you'll notice that if we look around the viewport, the colors shift. This is because we're using a normal map matte cap. This was a suggestion made by Jordan Powers. It's just matte cap and it's normal map, top right. And if we view from top down, this is what a normal map image is like. So we'll go to View, and then Viewport Render Image. This will save what the camera is seeing. So again, if you have something like this, it's going to render this out. So View, Render, and then you end up with something like that. So now we go to Image. Well, actually, if you're doing a bunch of these, like I was whenever I was starting out, go to your output and change it to RGB, because this is a red, green, blue channel, not a black and white image. So image, save as, scroll up to normals, and then floor tiles and floor tile 1 RGB, and save as. So important things to keep in mind. I'm going to Shift and S and cursor to world origin. I'm going to hide the floor tile. Then I'm going to move this down. Right click on scene collection, create a new collection, and we'll just say demo collection. And then right click, new, say demo tile 1. Now, whenever you have this selected, you can Shift A, Mesh, and scroll up to Plane. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Object and Edit Mode, press A to select all, press S to scale, and hold Control and move your mouse, and then left click to set the scale. Now, it doesn't matter if it has UVs or color maps or anything, because we're just using the shapes. So I'm going to select faces, and I'm going to press the I key, going to inset, left click, press I again, inset, but hold Control, and we'll move that down, and press left mouse button. Now what we should be seeing is something like that. So I'm going to go into compositing, and then F12, and then we have the shape and normal map. So you can always save as, go up, and go into alphas, right click, new folder, or you can click the new folder icon. Demo tiles. Then demo tile 1 alpha, height. So now we have TMG demo tile 1 height. Make sure it's black and white for this. Save as. Then we'll click on View, Viewport Render Image, File Save, Save As. This was demo tiles. We'll go into the normals, then we'll create a new folder. Demo tiles. Demo tile 1 normal. Then we want RGB because this holds color data. And there we go. We've just created a height map and a normal map. So things to keep in mind. The areas closest to the camera are darker, and then the areas furthest away from the camera are lighter. So if I create a cylinder real quick, scale that down. We'll rotate, scale it up a bit, move it down. We'll just smooth that, Control A and all transforms. I'm just going to add a loop cut here because I don't like the shading it was giving me. So now, you'll notice that's what the normal map looks like. If I press F12 and render out, you'll notice that the middle of the cylinder is darker than the outside edge. Now if I go over here, I move this up to around equal to the top. And we'll try to render that out. You'll notice that things got much darker. Now if you're going to put this on a plane with a displacement modifier, you would see that this area would be just a flat rectangle, because there's no real information for it to use. So you're going to end up fighting this information. So here we're still going to end up with a flat rectangle, but we're going to have more of that cylinder. So once you get down to around there, things should turn out pretty good. There we go. So now you can see the cylinder, but you can also see the object that was behind it. So that's just kind of important things to keep in mind when working with this setup. It's not entirely perfect, so technically this object would be probably down there, but you want to make sure that it's a solid black color, not a slight hue shift or slight value shift. So I'm going to duplicate this, rotate, move this over here. There's not a whole lot of detail there. So we're going to go back and we're going to adjust that. And let's try rendering that out again. Got a little bit more detail to it. So as you can see, we're getting a little bit more information. The normal map, of course, is near perfect, but the height map information is slightly off. But it is good enough. Actually, I say good enough, but then I'm like, nah. We'll change that. There. It's almost a dark gray. So yeah. So hopefully this was a good introduction on how to work with this setup. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know on Facebook or YouTube. So again, try to make sure you keep the viewport and render in check, because if you end up with one of these things that are off, you're going to end up with some interesting results, which can be cool and awesome, but at the same time, you could end up with a lot of heartache whenever you end up with things that don't work right. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.